goddess, when we started moving out of the feminine, because we revered the feminine, right? Back in way back, we revered the earth, we revered the feminine. This is our indigenous cultures. These were the ones who, you know, if you look, I'm here in Mexico, I've been receiving a lot from the Mayans because I have Mayan lineage, not this version of Beck, but my soul has Mayan lineage, which is very hard for people to understand. They're like, but you're not Mexico. And I'm like, fuck, I might as well be. But um, these were cultures who, like the pyramids, all of these things were created because they were working in conjunction with these extraterrestrial races. They were literally like raising us like forefathers. You see all these god beings in all of these, you know, in like Egypt and this and that. And there were these huge beings that they were depicted as gods. They weren't. They were just us bigger with all of their DNA kind of on, right? So we had all of that. We were worshiping the earth. We were revered. We had Atlantis, which was super. We were all very, very switched on. We were all very advanced. We were using this technology and this wisdom in this crazy, amazing way. But along the way, we got lost and started. The ego took over. The ego of I am God, not God is within me. I am God. I am the creator. I am going to inflict my will on others. And then we started disrespecting each other, right? And then came I love men and I have no problems with the patriarchy. I want to say I did a lot of healing about this. So before you start thinking she's this crazy feminist, she's going to bash on men, it's not true. I absolutely adore men. But we had this patriarchal shift of men who couldn't handle revering the goddess. They couldn't handle the feminine being in this power. And this kind of came from, there were two factions. Like this is going down the rabbit hole of who seeded us here, but there were two factions of those beings. There were some who wanted to raise us like their children and teach us the ways and all of this. And there were some who saw us essentially as slaves, as an inferior race. They wanted to enslave and control us, right? Those ones kind of at some point took over. And then they started imprinting war because they were, so these beings, while they were more evolved and have a higher level, we were still created in their image. And so our emotions, the power, the greed, all the negative thing, that's imprinted into us from them. So we are just, those not so nice things of humanity are represented by these races who just haven't evolved. And it doesn't mean that they're bad and wrong because they have their chance to evolve as souls. But basically, like those traits that we see in like Game of Thrones and all of that stuff, these beings had that. And so they wanted to control and enslave. And so then they created this system by which to enslave humans, which is money, which is finances. And then our whole society became very masculine focused, men as leaders, war. We had to go into that. We had to go into this like dark age as a humanity, basically, to learn lessons as a humanity, to go through karma as a humanity, to now get to this point where we can switch that back. And it's not even about going back to the age of the goddess, because it's not that. It's about the feminine and the masculine coming together now in unity and revering each other and working together, which is unity consciousness. But essentially, we had to go through all of that. And it's like, again, it's this higher perspective of all the bad leads to good. And there's no right or wrong. It just was. It's our history. For humans to evolve beyond fear, beyond separation, we had to learn our lessons. And humanity's young. Like in terms of all the races in the star system, we're really fucking young. And so we're just where we're at in our evolutionary process. You think, oh, thousands of millions of years, however, I don't know how long humans have actually been here, but that's a long time. Some of these other beings, it's like millions and millions of years they've been here. And it's the evolutionary process that we all go through as souls. So humanity's as a race is actually fairly young, even though we've reached these pinnacle points like Atlantis or Lemuria, we're still pretty young. And so we still need to learn these lessons, break this karma, break ourselves out of that cycle so we can evolve. And the good news is we're getting there. Like we're getting to a point where the percentage of awakened beings is tipping that scale where it's like now you guys have probably heard this statistic of like how many people need to be awakened in order to influence the whole of humanity. Like that is, I'm feeling the shift happening. The energies are really supportive of that shift happening. People are becoming more conscious, more aware, more awake, more self-aware, more loving, more kind, more aware of their impact on the earth. You know, psychedelic studies are coming out and helping people, and all these amazing things are happening. You can focus on all the things that aren't fucking working. We still have wars, we still have governments stuck. Like, but I prefer to focus on, look how many people, look at the fact that we're having this conversation on this podcast. People are listening to it. You know, that's amazing. So we are, I think, as a humanity, evolving and growing. And there are many of us like myself, and I'm sure you guys at some point, who aren't human as a soul. Like our soul didn't originate from this earth, who've come here to remind humans and to help them to evolve, right? Doesn't make us better, doesn't make us any fucking different. I still did a lot of shitty things. That essentially was me clearing up my karma for the past 3 years, remembering all the terrible things that I did, enslaving humanity, killing people, raping people. I was having to face all of that and be like, you think you're this goddess fucking starseed healer, and here you are having to remember doing terrible things to people, like shit, and forgiving yourself. So yeah, we're all evolving and growing, and we all have to go through certain things to choose love, right? It's not a choice that some of us make naturally. We have to understand what isn't love and experience doing that, to then have the inverse of what it feels like to have that done to us, to then be like, I actually choose to not do that in the next lifetime, because I don't want to create karmic ripples for some future version of me to deal with. I want to leave a beautiful legacy.